beginning of our story in so many ways. Today, we also find ourselves Erev, meaning the evening before the 50th Yahrzeit of one of the greatest Jewish teachers to ever walk this earth and certainly this nation. Rabbi Abraham Joshua Heschel's 50th Yahrzeit begins tonight. And the claim that any of us have to being his students, certainly he has many readers, but to being his students is based upon how well we act in this world. You can be a scholar of Heschel, read all of his books, even quote where they come from, even say where he was. But unless you are activating Torah by trying to help your fellow human being, you're not really that student yet. I ache to be his student. I aspire to be a student of Rabbi Heschel's, and I recommend his books very, very highly, most of all this one, Moral Grandeur and Spiritual Audacity, which is a collection of his writings, edited by his daughter, a remarkable scholar, Dr. Susanna Heschel. The reason why I bring him into this learning is not only because his Yahrzeit begins tonight, and tomorrow will be a special morning Torah session where I teach primarily Heschel, but also because he gave a very famous speech in 1963 at a conference called Religion and Race in Chicago. That was the day that he met Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. 2 years later, he marched arm in arm with Dr. King in Selma. And he changed the face, Rabbi Heschel changed the face of American Judaism for the better. He walked alone during his lifetime because while there were many Jews involved in the civil rights movement, helping found the NAACP and doing other extraordinary things like being freedom riders, institutionally, organizationally, Heschel really did speak alone. His co-professors at JTS didn't take him seriously because he lived the life of a prophet in the streets, though he was a scholar as well. And here he was marching. Well, that's not what a scholar does. Well, in fact, anyone who knows anything real, of course, does. Heschel began his speech in Chicago in 1963 called Religion and Race with these words. Just hear them. These are his words. And think about SHEMOT, our book, because he's going to quote 2 verses from our Parsha. This is how Heschel began his speech, Religion and Race. At the first conference on religion and race, the main participants were Pharaoh and Moses. Moses' words were, "Thus says the Lord, the God of Israel, let my people go that they may celebrate a feast to me." While Pharaoh retorted, "Who is the Lord that I should heed this voice and let Israel go? I do not know the Lord, and moreover, I will not let Israel go." Why does Heschel begin a speech about religion and race by quoting this Parsha, by quoting the call through Moses by God to Pharaoh to set the Israelites free, and then quote Pharaoh's response, "No, I will not set them free. I do not know God"? Listen to Heschel's next paragraph, and then I'll riff for a moment. The outcome of that summit, says Heschel, the outcome of that summit meeting has not come to an end. Pharaoh is not ready to capitulate. The exodus began, but it is far from having been completed. In fact, it was easier for the children of Israel to cross the Red Sea than for a Negro to cross certain university campuses. Let us dodge no issues. Let us yield no inch to bigotry. Let us make no compromise with callousness. In the words of William Lloyd Garrison, this is still Heschel, "I will be as harsh as truth and as uncompromising as justice. On this subject, I do not wish to think, to speak, or to write with moderation. I am in earnest. I will not equivocate. I will not excuse. I will not retreat a single inch, and I will be heard." The courage, the chutzpah of Rabbi Abraham Joshua Heschel to speak in such tones as a modern-day prophet. Now, why does Heschel begin a talk on religion and race which he said actually later on should not be a talk of religion and race. It should be religion or race, because you cannot be a person of faith and a racist. You cannot see people divided by the color of their skin and also think you see the image of God. God is not more evident in one of us than in all of us. So why does Heschel begin this talk on religion and race by quoting from our Parshat SHEMOT, the words of Moses to Pharaoh and then Pharaoh's response? Listen to Pharaoh's response one more time. Who is the Lord that I should heed this voice and let Israel go? I do not know the Lord, and moreover I will not let Israel go. Heschel quotes Pharaoh's denial of God, a lack of knowledge of God, as a way of saying that those who would perpetuate the new Jim Crow or institutional racism in America are not recognizing God. Rabbis are often told, we speak on issues, Rabbi, can you stick to the Jewish stuff and not deal with politics? I can't tell you the number of times I was told that as a pulpit rabbi, and sometimes still am. Think about what Heschel does here, and consider how relevant Judaism could possibly be to the world if it takes out the Torah. The Torah seems to be very concerned with the plight of human beings and puts in the mouth of Pharaoh the denial of their rights. Freedom is not a social movement alone, it is a theological commitment. Fighting for racial justice is a core Jewish mandate. Why? Because the image of God is how the Torah begins, and I cannot claim to be created in the image of God and deny it about someone else. God's face is infinite, and infinite colors, infinite sexualities, infinite gender orientations, infinite faiths. Fighting for racial justice is a Jewish mandate. And when Heschel walked with Dr. King, that was an iconic image in the future. It was a controversial image when it happened. When I returned to the White House for the second time as part of Jewish American Heritage Month, something that is now a custom, it's an American custom, I was greeted by a West Point orchestra performing American Jewish music, and the image of Dr. King walking arm in arm with Rabbi Heschel. This parsha tells us what it is to deny freedom to someone else. And that doesn't mean actively denying freedom to someone else. It means allowing it to continue. Heschel was a survivor of the Shoah. He escaped just before there was no escape and lost his whole family. His book, The Earth is the Lord's, is all about the world of Eastern Europe that he knew. He could have emerged as fighting only for Jewish survival, but instead he learned the lessons of radical dehumanization. And as witness, as teacher, as prophet, as friend, he told us that it is a sin to deny the humanity of someone else. It is a sin to allow it to be denied. He says it most clearly later on in this speech, that to think of man in terms of white, black, or yellow is more than an error. It is an eye disease, a cancer of the soul. Friends, the work is ongoing. I hope that you'll take this Torah, let it in, find Heschel's writings, and this Sunday, join UJA as we mark Martin Luther King Jr. Day with an incredible event that will include the keynote speaker, my dear friend and teacher, Ruth Messenger, and other teachers like Nigel Savage and me, as we explore the intersection of Jewish values and Dr. King's legacy. All of them are actually personified in so many ways by the rabbi, the teacher, the prophet that we lost 50 years ago tonight. And I hope that you'll get this book. I hope that you will read this book. I hope you will learn the words of Rabbi Abram Joshua Heschel, and I hope they will move you to act for justice in this world. So friends, let's have a good day. Tomorrow we'll have a special session where we learn specifically about Heschel. And I can't wait. Take care, everybody. Have a beautiful day. La 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 to the la 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 to the la 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 to the la 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 Bless you, friends. Have a good day. See you tomorrow.